Welcome to today's virtual online workshop, Acrylic Painting for Beginners. Shewta Shah is here with us today to demonstrate cherry blossom painting. Shewta worked with Michaels Incorporation for 2.5 years as an art instructor and taught classes to all age groups. If you have any questions throughout the workshop, please use the chat or question answer feature to send it out, and we will answer them at the end of the program. We will be recording this program. You can access on our library's YouTube channel to watch this workshop again. Here is Shewta.
Hello everyone and welcome to the acrylic painting workshop. This is the beginners painting workshop, and we will learn how to simplify the so-called complex looking painting here. So for my brief introduction, thank you Uma for introducing me.
And you're welcome.
I recently graduated from Detroit Institute of Arts as an IPV, interpretive volunteer, and I would welcome you all to visit the museum as soon as you can. We opened the museum last week, and I'll be fascinated to tour you different galleries. And let's start with the workshop.
Thank you. Thank you, Shewta.
So basically, this is going to be the subject of today's painting. It's a cherry blossom tree. We are going to use only 4 colors and a few supplies, art supplies. A titanium white. This is a bigger size. You will probably not need this big, but a tube like this should be fine. Ultramarine blue. Process magenta. And raw umber. These are the Grumbacher academic colors I purchased from Michaels. You might want to use the same shades in Art Loft or any other brand, that is fine. For the painting, we are going to use a fan brush. That is size 6. We're also going to use a filbert brush, size 8. And a round brush for the detailing, number 0. Kitchen paper towel, a sprinkler, things that are available in your kitchen, and a surface where you can mix the colors. So let's start beginning with this fabulous painting. You're going to need a 12 by 18 size canvas, or maybe the same scale. So I'm using a 12 by 18 board canvas. Shall I start?
Yes.
So I'm going to make the light pale blue sky here, starting with the top of the canvas. Make the surface a little wet before I start painting. So if you find the color a little dry, you can always sprinkle a little water on it, and then just mix it up when the painting brush goes left to right. Too much of water will break the molecules, and acrylic paint doesn't need a lot of water usage. So keep the paint a little dry. Not dry, but moving smoothly, evenly on every surface. So the upper part of the sky is almost done, and I'm moving towards the land. So I'm going to take the white in my brush and gradually make a gradient like this. And I'm going to spread it all across the canvas. So it is getting a gradient from white to blue. To make it a little soft, I'm going to move my brush from down to upper corners of this canvas. Just try to make the ends, the edges covered nicely, and it doesn't show so many strokes of the brush. For the bottom of the painting, I'm going to move it upside down, working only with white and just mixing it with the layer that we previously painted. If you see, the white to blue gradient is already done. We do not have to leave the canvas surface anywhere, just plain white. Even if the subject has white on it, the canvas should be always covered with white color or white shades, or maybe lighter shades. So here the first stage is done of the painting, and we want to keep it to let it dry for a while. Meanwhile, I'm going to add a little bit of raw umber, that is 1 green pea size, into white, and I'm going to mix it and see what color it gives us. So I have already made this paint on my palette. Okay. So if you are aware of the golden ratio, how the nature grows, we usually keep the 1/3 as the horizontal line. So I'm going to keep the brown on my brush and make this surface look a little bit sandy, muddy. So it gives us an illusion of land and sky. This is going to separate the surface, looking even everywhere. So this looks like it's a kind of shadow and snowy environment around the tree. But this one is kind of a land or the space around the tree. So a little bit brown added, and now you can actually see the separation, the sky surface and the land on it. So here I'm taking the same color, raw umber, on my palette. This time it's going to be like 4 green peas size, because I'm focusing now on the tree trunk and branches as well. So for tree trunk and branches, I'm going to take a round brush, which you might be able to see nicely.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they are.
I'm going to wet this in water, not taking too much water in my brush. I'm going to just take the paint like this. And before I start, let me show you the tree trunk. The nature gives everything. It grows tissue by tissue. So the trunk is obviously going to be thicker than the twigs. So when you see the details, it begins with a very strong base and it gradually grows thinner in the end. So keeping this idea in mind, I'm going to flip the painting upside down and show you how it works. Or maybe I can paint it this way. So since it has been a practice, I have been painting since I was 3.
Great.
I'm
Great, Shweta.
Oh, thank you, Uma. So this is how the tree trunk begins. You might have a few accidents in the beginning, since it's your first painting, but you do have the colors and you can repaint the canvas again. So when I'm doing the twigs, I just imagine where it should go and how many other branches it's gonna grow on it. So maybe 2 to 3. Oops. Okay, so accidents like this can be covered easily with a kitchen towel and just repaint them. Oh, it's gone. Okay, so here we go. One more time. The twigs, you can paint them. You can just twist the round brush here and there, and it's
Wow.
really it's okay if you make so much of twigs or so many of them in the beginning. I'll show you how we are going to cover them up and put more details very quickly. So my paint is still not dry, so some of my previous paint is coming in the brush. So I'm trying to put the thicker branches here. It gives me a little embossed effect right now. It's a dense, nice cherry blossom. And this is gonna have so many branches coming up. This is going to be covered with so many flowers. Just make sure when you are painting, the entire composition balances out. It's not so much on the right or left if you want. And maybe the structure of the tree. It is going to help you if you observe on the roads while going for a long drive. So a little smaller one in here, maybe. So now the basic branches are almost there. You can visualize the picture, how the tree will grow. And we
Okay,
will.
I'm sorry, Shweta. Here is one question from Carol. Do
Uh-huh.
you have to let the white area dry first?
Yes, yes. It is important if the previous paint dries and then you start putting this paint. But since we have a little time left, I mean, I'm just skipping the timeline and there is so much work I have to conclude within a few minutes. I'm just trying to put the more lines, and it is always ideal to let the paint dry. Otherwise, it's going to give you the lighter effect. It's not going to give you the complete picture, a complete painting effect. You might have to work again like I'm doing it right now. It is better if you let it dry and then work on it. This paint doesn't take much of your time. It just dries up in 10 minutes. So you just grab a bite and come back and the canvas is ready to take on more layers on it. So this is how you can just keep the basic things done and let it dry. And here comes the pink. The pink is going to be mixed with white, and I'm going to make 3 nice shades out of white and pink because we are going to have a 3D picture. So some of the petals are exposed to the light, some of them are inside, so they are going to look a little darker than the ones who are exposed to the light, sunlight, and some of them are shining also. So maybe all the colors are same, but they look different in the difference that make us see as if it's a 3D painting. So if you see closely, the light pink, the slightly medium tone, and the dark pink, these are the 3 shades I want to see on my palette. And in the end, I'm going to make one lighter shade mixed with raw umber, which shows the dried petals fallen down, foliage around the tree. So basically 4 colors now: light pink, medium pink, darker pink, and a little muddy pink in here. So I'm going to make this shades on my palette till the time this one gets a little ready and dry for us. I hope you guys are enjoying this. It's a layer by layer teaching. So in Michael's, it was a different story. I used to do it with my students and we used to chit chat. Here I don't listen to anyone.
They will answer.
So, all
Okay,
right.
I can make them to talk. Maybe we can ask them. Okay,
Sure.
allow to talk. Yeah, see, Carol is here.
Yes, hi.
Hello.
Hey, hi,
Hi,
nice to
it's
see
Miss
you.
Carol. I wanted to know, if are the paints a mixture of red and white together in different hues that you make?
Yes, it can be red and white, and this is process magenta I have taken, which gives me
Okay.
a pinkish effect. So red is also okay.
Okay, so you take that on your palette and you mix the different shades.
Yes. So I'm
Okay.
going to show you. If you see, I have taken three paints, the top of paints like a green pea size. I'm going to mix them with white.
Okay.
So this one is going to have more white. This one is going to have a little less. And this one is going to have no white in it. It's going to be in its original form. So it gives us the darkest effect, right? So here we go.
Thank you.
I'll show you exactly what proportions I'm taking. So when you are painting, you can have a little idea in your mind. I use a lot of white. So I used to buy this size of paint, but now I have switched to a bigger bottle because this is the paint I use most. For you, a bottle should be fine. Okay, we usually mix the paint with knife. So painting knife can be used to mix the paint. This is double white, almost 8 times of the pink proportion. This is 3 times more than the pink, and this is just a raw pink as you see on the screen. I'm going to mix them up and show you what color it makes. Am I audible, Uma?
Yes, you are.
Okay. It is quite interesting to mix the colors, see them, how they make other colors from just a few differences in proportion. So it is so much fun doing this painting. I usually teach with the basic paintings, shades like primary colors, secondary and tertiary colors. So it gives you a very broad spectrum of what kind of colors and how many colors you can make from such basic 3 or 4 colors. You do not have to buy n number of paints and just keep on experimenting. You just need to understand what quantity and proportion is going to help to bring the paint to exactly the true colors that you're looking for. But yeah, that definitely requires a lot of practice. So that's okay. We will make it easy for you. Not to worry. Now the fan paint brush comes in the scene. This is the hero here. We just wet it a little and take out the extra water. And now I'm going to show you how this works. I'm going to keep the bristles free from sticking to each other by rubbing it on the surface of any surface is fine. I'm going to dip the tip in here, take out the extra paint on the palette surface. And this is the fun part, which is going to be easy for everyone. What I do is, I imagine what should be the direction my brush should put the dots on this painting. And it should look like the flowers on the tree.
Excuse me.
Sure.
Hello?
Yes.
Would you ever use a crumpled up tissue paper or a paper towel?
Yes, I do. But if it's the texture that is required for that painting, I do.
Okay.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Okay.
But this one is going to help you more. Crumbled up paper or maybe the scrubber that you're not using for so many days can be used. There are different things you can use, like some people use comb. Some people use some toys which have good texture on it. So it's all about your creativity. How you make the best out of it.
Wow, beautiful. I know.
So I'm using
This
the
is something.
medium tone right now for your reference.
Mhm.
I'm
And
just,
you're just randomly painting?
yes, I'm just keeping the random brush strokes over these twigs and branches. So this is right now mixing a little bit of my brown shade into my brush. If you see,
Yes.
here we see,
Mm-hmm.
since the branches are not dry yet. Here we go. So basically you just fill it up with the medium tone first, because medium tone is going to be maximum on this painting. The twigs are going to be covered by doing this, but that's okay. The twigs were anyways our reference, and it is going to be repainted in some areas with more detail. So we want this teeny tiny brown spots everywhere because they give an idea that there are some petals overlapping and some of them are behind the branch in the other side of the tree. So it's going to be repainted. I'm going to detail. I'm going to show you the painting that I have done for you guys before.
Yeah, because I allowed them to talk. If they have any questions, they can right away. While painting, it works for them, right?
Of
This is
course.
really good. Beautiful. Wow. Excellent work, Shweta. Just
Thank you.
great. I know. I
It's
don't
really
think I'll be
easy.
able to do this.
Yes, it's easy. Yeah, it's going to be fun. You're going to enjoy this. This is the most favorite piece of art I have been teaching to my students. I have also done this in knife painting in advanced classes. People like it in knife and the thick paint and the strokes. So there is so much of variety we can do with this one simple thing. You can also try with yellow color or your choice of colors. The tree making is easy and it looks really good when it is in one of your favorite corner of the house, hanging on a wall. It's very interesting.
You know, that would look beautiful with autumn colors too.
Oh yes, you bet. That will. If you would like, I can show you one of the painting I have done with the same technique. It's right
Okay.
there. I'll just get a look at it for you in the end of the class. So we are done with the light pink here. I have not started yet with the lighter, even lighter tone, but this does look pretty light here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it good and visible easily?
Yes.
Okay. So while this is drying, I want to give you a few tips here.
If you did do the autumn colors, would you change the hue of the sky?
Yes, it will be more bluish.
Okay.
Let me show you the painting that I have done. Because if I bring that in front of you, you will have more clarity. So here, if you see,
Oh, yes.
sky looks a little bit more blue.
It's
The
beautiful.
clouds are more into motion. It looks like
Mhm.
is this fall or windy weather. I'm yet to work on my trunk and trees and the foliage. So you paint the background first, which is not going to have a lot of detail on it, and then work on the detailing in the close areas.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's still in the process. But since
That's
you
okay.
asked the question, we had this ready with us. So just the same thing. If you see, we have 3 different shades of this color as well as this one. But here we are using 2 colors, orange and crimson red, mixed with yellow. This one is white, yellow, and light green in it. So it gives more detail and dimension to the tree. So now let's come to the darker shade of this flowers, which is going to be the, hello?
Yeah, we are able
Okay.
to hear you.
Oh, I thought someone got disconnected.
No, no,
Okay.
you are there.
I hope Uma, you also.
Yeah, I'm going to mute everyone. If they have any questions, they will ask, because that way you will have, or I just allow them, let them, if they have any questions, they'll just ask. I have unmuted everyone. Okay. Because it will be nice if they talk to you and ask you
Yeah,
questions.
it will feel like a live class.
Yeah, it
We
is.
are from COVID-19. Okay, so I'm using the raw magenta color on my brush, if as you see here.
Wow, yes.
And this is going to be only in a few inner parts of this place. If we make it so much, if we overdo with this, it's okay. It's all your choice. But if you want to make it look more realistic, just see that you make it in the inner most dense areas of the paint of the tree, and just avoid the outer surface because it's more exposed to light, and that is where the smaller buds come out. So it is all about your assumption, your imagination. You can have your version of tree, but technically, if we stick to the realistic one, this is going to be less in a few places of the tree. So a few strands, a few drops here and there with the darker shade. This adds a lot of surface to the painting, isn't it? So if you see, now it makes more sense. And I'm not using any greens to this because somehow I'm pretty happy with the look of pink all over. And now it's time to work on the twigs again. Once you have done the darker shade, if you see, I'm just twisting my brush like this or this way. I'm changing the direction as per my imagination of the twigs and where this painting brush should touch and which areas to avoid. It is so much fun to work with a fan brush. I'm so fascinated with this invention. It is simple yet very useful. It also gives me a good style of creating waterfalls. I recently did a huge waterfall painting in New Jersey, and that was 10.5 feet by 7.5 feet huge.
Wow.
So
Great.
I use this kind of brush in a bigger size, almost like a real fan size. And it was so much fun. So far, so good. The tree looks somewhat like this at this point, and now we are working on the twig detail again. So I'm going to dry up this brush, taking out excess water from it, and working again on the branch, because now what we see is the another area of petals and leaves. So by adding the branches one more time is going to give it a little 3D look. It is going to show that in this area of the tree, we are looking at it from the front. So it is very essential to put these details.
Wow. Yeah, that looks really good. Yeah, we can see that.
And it is just, I'm just twisting this when I want to make it more pointy. You can also use a little thinner brush if this one feels quite thick to you. A 0 number brush maybe. If the canvas is small, the brush tips go smaller. It all depends on the size you are making. So making this twigs and branches is so much fun. Just twist with a brush and keep going. And the ends are going to be thin, just remember that. I enjoy this a lot. Painting nature is one of my favorite subjects, and trees and grass and the woody environment is one of the most beautiful things I paint. I hope to see you all painting.
Yes, we do. I think this is really, it's really very creativity mind. I think we should have patience, very relaxing too, right? When you do this, you can take out the stress around these stressful
Just have
times.
a glass of wine around you and
Yes.
Yes. So I'm going to put a little bit twigs on the floor, I mean on the base of the tree, like open twigs somewhere. Like this. So it just gives me an idea of a windy kind of atmosphere. So the dry stuff is fallen down from the tree. If you see, I think this looks good enough for this moment. Here it looks, this needs a little arrangement. It will be so empty. Huh.
Came out really beautiful.
Looks good.
Great.
I'm actually seeing it from a very different view, so I don't know if it's going good.
Great.
Okay, so far this looks nice, and we can put as much as details as we want. You can also take a reference picture, a photograph maybe, in the beginning of your paintings, because that gives you more ideas of how to execute your imagination. I always take a reference picture or a photograph in my initial stages, and then you can add your own creativity if you want. I guess we are almost 70% done here. Now I'm going to take the fan brush one more time and work on the medium tone, the medium pink that we used. I have not touched the lighter shade as yet. So the paint with less white and more magenta is coming up. Okay. Now you see, my paint has so much water and it is almost flat. And I do not want it like this because it is not going to give me the effect of petals. So I need to make it a little dry, the bristles spread it apart. So what I'm going to do is, my technique is to spread them off to make it more dry, and I should see the bristles like this, or maybe more than this. So this would be a good idea to do it, and then dip the tip in the paint and work on a few areas where you want to see the branch hiding a little bit, but yet it still shows continuous flow. And now I'm using the light pink also, where the areas are super dark and my branch needs to cover smaller places like this. Focusing on the surface which is more exposed to the sunlight, working more onto the areas where I feel that this is where the sunlight will hit the petals and it will make it look a little more shiny. Avoiding the areas in the center of the painting because those areas are pretty dense. But yet this side of the branch can also bring a few areas which are exposed to the sunlight.
Wow, that looks really awesome.
So I'm just hiding a few places and see, it's easy.
For you it is.
It's really easy. And I think we're almost done with this one. Yeah.
This is Carol.
Mhm.
I have a question on the bottom underneath the tree. It looks like those are like fallen branches. Is that what that depicts?
Yes, yes. This looks like fallen, broken branches, and we're
Okay.
going to make foliage in here.
And what was the purpose of retracing out all the branches again? What was that reason?
The reason for putting more petals on it is to show branches inside of the tree, in the middle of the tree, and yet the petals are all over. So when you work more on the branches, it gives an idea of the density of the tree, and it gives you a dimension of all around 360 tree surface.
Okay, so you added more branches up at the top, right?
Yes.
Was that to put more symmetry to the picture?
This is to show that the branches are still, I mean, it balances out somewhere when you see that the
Okay.
flowers are there and it doesn't have a support. It is a try to make it look more real.
I mean,
Okay.
it's like a 3D effect, you mean, Shweta? It gives you 3D effect when
Yeah.
you do that?
Yes, it gives you the overall 3D effect of the three
Yes.
dimensions of the painting.
Mhm.
When you put more branches and you work on the petals again, keeping the branches look like they are continuing in such direction, it gives more realistic way of painting it.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to work on the foliage. So I'm taking the lightest, most shade of the pink because when the flowers fall off, they are very pale and they lose their color. So a few branches are already seen here and a little bit of light pink here and there. And I'm going to merge it with my finger. I like to do it this way to show it a little windy and scattered over here and there. It doesn't need so much of precision here, but yet it is good if you do it. I'm taking a little bit brown, dipping into the light pink, so it gives me a muddy pink color, and just working on this surface, so it gives more volume to the place where the tree is. I'm keeping some strokes over the tree trunk also. And I guess this is it.
Would you put any more shading in the tree trunk, like a lighter shading?
Yeah, we can do that. We can put more surface over here. If time permits, yes, we can definitely.
Okay.
So for that matter, that's a good question, I would say. And when you want to make the trunk look 3D, you of course have to make it a little light on one surface and darker in the middle, again light on the other surface.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do that since we have that color already on the palette. Yeah, that's a really good question. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
We have time, Shweta. You take your time and you can do it.
I'm trying to keep the lighter shade on the tree
Oh, look at that. What a nice difference that makes.
And it gives a little 3D effect that the tree is not just the flat one.
Right.
So see the reference picture. Your observation is amazing.
Wow, great. That looks awesome.
So here we see it's the way Carol said. We have a trunk which has more shades into it, but the same colors. And this one is going to look different when it dries up. I think the color is shining out in my light. It doesn't look
Awesome.
good.
Beautiful, Shweta.
Absolutely.
I want you all to try this painting.
Definitely. I will try. I'm the least artist, but anyway, I'll try.
Uma, I think you'd be surprised. I think you can do it.
Oh, thank you, Carol. I really appreciate you.
And don't forget your signature on the right side of the painting, because that's what makes this look like your own masterpiece.
Wow, I know. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Great.
Thank you. So I would appreciate if you have any questions. I'm here to answer them. And
I am going to unmute everyone, and if they have any questions, please unmute yourself and then I'll ask your questions. Shweta is here to answer your questions.
I do have a question. What do you do with the edges of the canvas, the sides, if you're not going to frame it?
Board canvas, I usually make them finished and I frame them. But if you do not want to do that, you can always hang them up on the wall with the paper paints or the softboard paints. That's how the kids' paintings are usually displayed on the wall. It is always good to protect your painting with a frame. If you do not want to frame them, don't use this kind of canvas. I would suggest you use a stretched canvas, which has a surface on it. And then you can just hang them on a wall without any frame. This groove gives a good surface to the painting and it just stays there as it is.
Okay, and would you paint the edges on that canvas?
I do paint the edges sometimes if required. This painting has so much of white on it, so I didn't think I used anything over it. But your question is a valid one. I would like to show you some of my paintings where I have actually painted the surface. Give me a minute.
Thank you.
Okay, while she's doing that, Uma, you mentioned earlier something about YouTube.
Yes, when you go to our library's website, you can see on top of the website, Facebook link and YouTube link and all those pages. When you click on YouTube, whatever programs, we record them and upload them to YouTube channels and we post them there, Carol.
Oh, so it's on the library website?
Yes, on the library website, on top of our library web page, you can see Facebook, Twitter, YouTube link, all those. When you click on YouTube, maybe it takes like a day or two to upload to YouTube channel. Then you can go and check these whenever you want. You can go and check all those program videos. Links will be available there.
Okay, that's perfect, because if I wanted to remember what colors she used, I can go there.
Yeah, sure, we can do that. You can do that.
Perfect.
Yes, Shweta, you muted yourself. Shweta, you muted. Okay, now you're okay.
Thank you.
Oh, wow.
For the previous question that someone just asked,
Wow.
I am painting the surface like this.
Oh, okay.
The colors. So when you want to hang it as it is, so if you see the sky color is continued over here.
Yeah,
very
that
nice.
looks beautiful. Beautiful.
So it is good if you do it, but I didn't do it nicely because I wanted to frame this one. But that would look really good if you can paint these surfaces with the colors when you have them on your palette.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it will save your efforts to frame them. Any other questions, please?
I don't know. Maybe. Do you have any questions? Anybody? Any questions? And I hope you did a great job, Shweta. We really
I love that.
enjoyed it. Thank you very much. That was a wonderful, wonderful demonstration. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Oh,
you.
would you like me to repeat the art supplies to show you once again, or this is good?
Yeah, sure. You can go ahead and do that. Repeat all those supplies if you can. Mhm.
I can also send you a picture,
Uh-huh.
and you might want to upload it. These are the Grumbacher academic colors that I use as a professional artist. I bring them from Michael's. They are fabulous colors. They do not stick to your skin. Just gently wash them off. But yes, be careful when you are painting. Wear your unfavorite t-shirts. So if they are on your fabric, it will not be washed off unless you clean them before they dry. And for the palette, I usually use the disposable ones, but I have not gone out in recent times. So I usually try to take it on a white surface. So you can see the colors, what are you mixing, but out of practice, I can figure out what I'm working on. But for you, new students, definitely this is not a good thing to do. So just make it sure you use a disposable dish and it has a white surface. For the fan brush, I would say it is the same company, Grumbacher number 6. The round brush can be a 0 number. I have taken a white number 1 brush. And for the filbert, it's going to be number 9, I suppose. Yes, the number 8. Number 8 should work for the beginners. And the more stages we cover in probably next sessions, I will introduce you to more supplies which support the subject matter. And there we go.
Hopefully, we will have in-person workshop, Shweta, in the future.
Oh, yes.
We are praying for it. And I know. Thank you very much. That was a wonderful presentation. And thank you all for coming. Stay safe.
Thank you. It was wonderful.
Have a wonderful time. Bye.